Today, we're going to talk about the AirPods Pro. Let's get to it. Alright everybody, welcome back to Gadget Conquest, and today we are talking about the AirPods Pro, continuing our deep dive into the Apple ecosystem. We looked at the iPhone, now we're going to look at the AirPods. So, I'm doing this entire video recording on the AirPods since you guys want to hear what they sound like. And frankly, I am not a fan of the audio profile of the microphone. I don't know what you guys think, but I personally am just not that much of a fan. But other than that, the speakers on here are pretty good. They sound way better than the regular AirPods, that's for sure. They sound pretty decent. They do definitely punch right around in their price range because they are $250, which puts them up there with, let's see, the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro and the Sony WF-1000 XM4. Yeah. And I would say it definitely punches up there as far as audio quality goes. It's, in my opinion, the weakest of the three, but I think a lot of it comes down to personal preference, especially compared to the Galaxy Buds Pro. I think these two are probably a little bit more similar. I prefer the sound profile of the Galaxy Buds Pro over the AirPods Pro, but I can see how someone might like the AirPods over the Galaxy Buds. However, they both don't sound as good as the Sony Buds. However, the Sony Buds are a little bit more expensive. They're like $30 more expensive. It's not a lot more, but at least they're at a price point where it's like, yeah, well, you know, they do sound better. Uh, next is battery life. We'll talk about that. The battery life on these things is pretty good. I would say not the best I've seen, but also not the worst. They advertise 4.5 hours if you're not using active noise canceling or transparency. No, they actually has 5 hours if you're not using active noise canceling or transparency, and they advertise 4.5 hours if you are. I personally have been getting like 4 hours with active noise canceling or transparency, so it's pretty close. It's not exactly there, but it is pretty close. And then the case gives it, I believe, another, I want to say 5 charges? Does that sound right? Is it 5 charges? The case gives it an extra, I believe, 18 to 20 hours. So quite a few charges there. It's probably more so just the fact that because the buds themselves don't carry much of a charge, it's easy for the case to charge them quite a bit. Whereas compared to, if you remember the Sony's, the buds themselves had an 8-hour charge and the case gave them an extra 16 hours for a total of 24 hours. These total out to about 24 hours as well, but the buds themselves have significantly less battery life. So if the amount of time that you can carry a single charge matters to you for the buds, then the Sony buds are really good for that because they have way longer battery life on a single charge, even with the active noise canceling turned on. Um, Actually, let's talk about the active noise canceling. The active noise canceling is good. It's some of the best, actually. It's really good. Active noise canceling has a tendency to put a lot of pressure in your ears, especially when you're using in-ear buds. These are, I believe, some of the first, probably the first earbuds that actually have the air filters in them, or like pass-throughs, so that the active noise canceling doesn't cause that, and I don't get that feeling in my ears. The problem with the active noise canceling that I have is that it's really bad at canceling out the sounds of vehicles, which is odd because These actually, I tested the active noise canceling on both of these, and they were much better at canceling out the sound of vehicles, but these weren't as good at it. However, these are better at canceling out the sound of people. So these were way better at like a workplace where, like an office environment where you're just trying to cancel out the sound of people. Uh, so, you know, whatever maybe your kind of thing, if you work in a more, maybe like construction or I don't know, something where you're more outside, I think the active noise canceling on these was better, but this one definitely did an amazing job of canceling out the sound of people's noises and also things like air conditioning. So that's it for the active noise canceling. Let's talk about the uh, fit and the finish. So fit, not that great. I know for a lot of people, they actually do fit pretty well. I just can't get them to stay in. I have to keep pushing them in when I'm talking. I have to just keep repeatedly pushing them in, which kind of sucks. It doesn't matter which size of the ear tips that I use because it did come with other size ear tips. They just they just refuse to stay in like forever, which kind of sucks. They are comfortable in the ear, but that's not really that big a deal if they don't stay in. I could not. Um, I've seen plenty of people use these to work out. I've seen it. I've done it, but I I guess I just have weird ears. I don't know. The fit's not for everyone. If you can get like custom tips, that would be really cool. Um, But if you fall into that weird segment where you don't exactly fit, like my ears are like between the medium and the small size tips. So like the small is way too small, they just pop right out. But then the big is too big, they kind of just like don't go they pop out in a different way. Like they force their way out because they're too big. So it's unfortunate, and I wish they had given me more. I wish it came with like more sizes instead of just the three, but whatever. Finish. Glossy white sucks. That's all I have to say about it. It's glossy white. It's awful. It gets scratches super, super easy. It looks terrible. It looks so cheap. It feels cheap and just crappy. The earbuds themselves are the same way. If I pull this out, will it stop recording? No, okay, cool. So the earbuds themselves are the same way. They have this glossy white finish, which just is not, I don't know, I don't like it. I'm not a fan. And then the tips themselves are also white, which means, yeah, it's gross. It's really gross. And that's just, you know, that's just Apple being Apple. But maybe in another iteration, the we'll get to see maybe some different colors. I know the AirPods Max, are they called Max? Is it Pro Max? I think it's just AirPods Max. Um, the over ear ones, those actually come in a couple colors, so maybe we'll see some other colors for this to match the colorful iPhones or something like that. I would like to see something other than glossy white plastic. That it just kind of sucks. Talking about the case, there's a lightning connector on here. I don't use it. This is wireless charging, luckily enough, so I do charge it wirelessly all of the time. However, come on, Apple, just fucking. All right, so I cursed there. I'm not gonna bleep that one out. uh, just get rid of the lightning connector. Just do it. Just switch to USB-C, please. You've already switched the iPhone to look like the iPad. The iPad already uses USB-C. Then let's make this use USB-C too. There's no reason not to at this point, except for, all that money you want to collect, I guess. Uh, what's left? I think I've covered just about everything. Um, let's talk about the controls. Let's end on that. So the controls themselves are meh. So it took me a while to figure out that you have to actually push and put pressure like a little bit more than you're comfortable with on the stem in order to actually do stuff with it. It's one click is play pause. 2 clicks is to go forward a song, 3 clicks is to go back a song, and if you hold it, it will toggle between noise canceling and transparency. And the weird thing is, I think by default, I don't remember if I changed the setting on this on my phone. I don't remember doing so. I think it's by default. So by default, having it off is not one of the options. So it's either noise canceling or transparency. The middle mode, where there is neither of the two on, is not on by default. You have to go into the settings in order to change that. Obviously, you can only adjust the settings when you have an iPhone, so this is definitely only someone for an iPhone. But it's just weird that there is no, it's just a toggle between the two. It's not a cycle between the three, so that's kind of iffy. And then you can also change the hold. So in the settings, you can actually, ooh, some bugs. In the settings, you can actually change it so that the left or the right, depending on which one you want to do, you can set it so that holding it will activate Siri, which is pretty cool. But Siri kind of sucks, so you know it's meh. It comes down to just being meh. And yeah, that's about it. Honestly, if you care about audio quality and you only have an iPhone, you don't have the entire Mac ecosystem, you just have an iPhone, I would recommend a different set of headphones, a different set of earbuds. These sound better. These sound about the same. I still say they sound better, but it's about the same. If you care about having more settings, more control over things, like a filter for how much transparency you have. This only has transparency or noise canceling. It doesn't let you filter out on a scale which one you want to do. These two do. These two give you way more control. This does not give you a lot of control. It very falls in line with what Apple wants, and that is for you to have as little control as possible. And it shows. But if you are in the Apple ecosystem, if you have an iPhone and you have an iPad or a MacBook, it is really cool being able to switch between devices with no hassle whatsoever. I open up my MacBook and it just shows like, hey, your Airpods are available to connect. You want to connect to them? And I can click yes, and it's just connected instantly, which is not the same as these, but I don't know. It's up to you whether or not the convenience is there. The thing is the size, right? The size, the active noise canceling is good. Overall, these are pretty great. They're just, when you get nitpicky, it's easy to find flaws. It is. It's very easy to find flaws, but it was easy to find flaws with these as well, to be fair. It's just, it's easier to find flaws in this, especially in the software, and this glossy white nonsense. But that's all I have for you guys. So these are the AirPods Pro. I don't know, buy them if you want them. Don't buy them if you don't want them. Yeah. Thank you for joining me on my next video in the Apple ecosystem. I will have another video in the Apple ecosystem next week. And once all these videos are done, I can finally be free. Yeah, I can be free from the Apple ecosystem until they come out with a new iPhone and then I have to review it. Yeah, that's how that works. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to leave a comment if you have questions or concerns or you just want to make fun of me. Do that in the comments. That's fine. And don't forget to subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night. Have a good week. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.